Okay, so I decided to do a screencast instead of a face video because I felt like it would be easier to understand my analysis if you had the poem in front of you while you were watching, rather than having to read it later and kind of apply my analysis to it, I guess. So this is my discussion lead. This is the monologue that Laertes gives to Ophelia before he leaves for France, where he warns about her relationship with Hamlet, and it reads as follows. Think it no more, for nature crescent does not grow alone, in thews and bulk, but, as this temple waxes, the inward service of the mind and soul grow wide withal. Perhaps he loves you now, and now no soil nor coddle doth besmirch the virtue of his will. But you must fear his greatness weighed. His will is not his own, for he himself is subject to his birth. He may not, as valued persons do, carve for himself. For on his choice depends the safety and health of this whole state, and therefore must his choice be circumscribed unto the voice and yielding of that the body whereof he is the head. Then if he says he loves you, it befits your wisdom so far to believe it, as he in his particular act and place may give his saying deed, which is no further than the main voice of Denmark goes withal. Then weigh what loss your honour may sustain, if to credit ears you list his songs, or lose your heart, or chaste treasure open to his unmastered importunity. Fear it, Ophelia, fear it, my dear sister, and keep you in the rear of your affection, out of the shot and danger of desire. The cherished maid is prodigal enough, if she unmasks her beauty to the moon. Virtue itself escapes not columnist strokes. The canker gall the infants of spring too oft before their buttons be disclosed, and in the morn and liquid dew of youth, contagious blasphements are most imminent. Be wary then, best safety lies in fear. To youth to itself relables, though none else near. Okay, so this monologue tells us a few things in regards to character development, plot development, and conflict development. First things it shows us is Laertes and his relation to his sister. It shows us how he cares that she doesn't get hurt and how he is afraid that she might get hurt. For instance, in this line here, he tells her that it would be much better to just fear his love rather than give in to it and allow her chaste treasure to open. Laertes says all this because of his love for Ophelia and how he is concerned for her well-being rather than concerned for the Danish state. The next thing that this monologue does for us is introduces a conflict. It introduces the conflict between Hamlet and his love for Ophelia versus Hamlet and his duties to the court. While setting up this conflict, Shakespeare is basically telling us that the conflict between Ophelia's love and Hamlet's allegiance to his family is going to come to a boiling point later in the play and cause something catastrophic. And finally, the theme. The main theme that I get out of reading this selection of the play is the idea that people don't always make decisions in order to just impact themselves. Rather, they make decisions in regards to protect their family or like their tribe. For instance, Laertes isn't concerned about the Danish government and its situation with Hamlet. Rather, his sole concern in this situation is keeping Ophelia's heart intact and not getting broken by Hamlet. Likewise, he warns Ophelia that Hamlet will do the same thing, that he'll maintain his allegiance to his family rather than allegiance to his love. And that's the theme, really. People can't always make decisions for themselves. Family pressure can and will change decisions. Alright, so that about wraps it up for my analysis of this monologue. And I'm going to leave you with 2 questions to think about before our next class meeting. And I'll leave these in the discussion board, so in case you missed it, you can go read them later. Number 1, do you think that the foreshadowing in this monologue is foreshadowing the main conflict? Or is this just a side conflict that kind of fizzles out on its own? And number 2, do you think that Shakespeare describing Laertes in this way in this monologue is foreshadowing what's going to happen to him later in the play? And if so, what's going to happen?